First question عمي اللي سألت عن الموهبة. I think we didn't make it very clear عن النموذج بس we had في السلايدز a certain Mr. الطالب البلوشي اللي كان واجد يعني يحب الكرة كرة القدم فإحنا we sponsored him خليناه درب in the هذا بس كان يشتغل معانا together فكان يتدرب وكان يشتغل عنا حتى فبعدين we sponsored them we supported him شجعناه شوية وصار الحين he plays you know in various ولايات in عمان in نزوة in مسقط everywhere وصار الحين he started getting recognized فيعني he's one of the examples of who we trained وكيف دربناهم ويشتغل عنا وشجعناه فيعني it's happened from the 10 years one of them.
Thank you very much. Very impressive. But I just wanted your perspective on how things are because it seems, mashallah, you have done a lot. You're really helping the society, helping people in different walks of life. But again, in the society, when small things happen, like even the rice issue, people forget all the good things.
What issue?
Grains. So it's the elephant in the room. And, you know, good work like this is forgotten. And people focus on this. And people think family businesses at these times are sending money abroad and no money is kept in Oman. And I think, you know, it seems there's a gap between family business and between what we're really doing and between society's view on or perspective on us. And I don't know what's your take. I mean, I don't know what should we do more. How should we tackle this? Because it seems good work goes, and of course, sometimes you do good work just for the cause. But I don't know what's your take on this. And maybe this new issue gave you a different perspective, which you might share with us as friends here.
Yeah, it's been a great experience the past few months, the past few weeks, I would say. One take home that we had is definitely that we need to be a little more present in the minds of the people and not just in the minds of the people that we consider our stakeholders, that is our customers or our suppliers or our people, but we need to be in the minds of the community as well. Now this is the biggest learning I had in the last 8 weeks. What is the rice issue is a great saga. It's a sad saga. I'm not sure, you know, I always tell people that I'm not sure whether rice brought kimchis to Oman in the 1800s or whether kimchis brought rice to Oman in the 1800s. Either way, both of us did come to Oman from wherever we came together, and we are here to stay together, so there's no question about that. We learned that not only do we need to engage with communities at large and make them aware and conscious of what large companies and large corporates and large families do, but it's now come to a question of whether CSR should be silent CSR or whether silent CSR is no longer valid. Should CSR be made public? I'm certainly not a believer of that. I believe CSR is something that you do within the community, within your staff, within your people, within the thing large, needs to stay on. Kais, you've asked $1 million question. My learning from the rice saga is the fact that when you're in a large company, you have tremendous responsibility, not just to the employees, to the customers, to the stakeholders, but you also have a tremendous responsibility of maintaining an image, maintaining a certain amount of giving to the neighborhood and the community at large as well. And I think this is where we've missed the bus, that we've not engaged with the common man with the people down, which has not been in our horizon. You know, we as businessmen keep on looking at the horizon, which is our customer, our employees, our suppliers, etc. We don't seem to be going below the horizon. And we need to go a little lower. We need to probably get onto our knees more often to understand what the situation is at a lower level. At the same time, I think what we also need to appreciate is the fact that there is a lot of people who are ignorant of what is happening in the market, what is happening in the world. And it is also the responsibility of, I wouldn't say the government, but certain stakeholders to, whether it's the shura, whether it's the walis, whether it's the sheikhs, to educate them on what is the rights and what are the wrongs, what are the best practices, what are not the best practices. We as businessmen need to learn, but at the same time, there are certain responsible members of the community who also need to educate the people as well. So I think there's two learning practices I had. I know a lot of you would want to know what happened in the rice, what did go wrong. All I want to say is that we went through a process of cleaning a batch of rice which had an expiry date. We had been told by the ministry only last year in the first quarter that rice does not expire, you need not put any expiry date on the rice. Since this batch of rice of only 11 tons had arrived prior to that letter from the Ministry of Commerce, it had an expiry date on it. Having said that, we also had in our commercial registration the license to clean, process, mill and pack rice. So we thought that it was our prerogative to clean the rice before we put that back in the market. Rice does not expire, we all know that. Rice only gets better, and the best rice is eaten between the second and the fourth year of production, of harvest. Well, this is only 2.5 years old, so it was in its prime form. But rice does accumulate rice powder and broken, so it needs to be cleaned every few years. It cannot be sold in its entirety. But we just went through the process of cleaning it, and we ensured that we would not sell it in the market because we have our own consumption. By the way, for those who don't know, we feed 3,000 people for lunch every day and 2,000 people for dinner every night. Again, this is not CSR, this is part of our family. These are our employees. Every one of our employees working in the headquarters, in our big logistic facility in Barka and in Gala where we have our infra campus, everybody gets a free meal. And those who want to eat a non-vegetarian free meal, they pay 500 paisa. But yes, we said we will use it for our own consumption, we don't market it. Well, somebody came in, saw what was going on, got 3 other laborers, asked them to move the bad rice that we had segregated along with the good rice, captured photographs of it, took the samples of the bad rice, took them for sampling and said Kimchi is mixing rice. It's a story to be told. We're fighting for justice. Things seem to be under control. But there seems to be a nexus amongst the person who came for the raid, the chief of the authority who was monitoring from Barka, and somebody who went and filmed it as well. They happen to be siblings, brothers and fathers of each other. So it's not a simple story, but it's best to be left to the court to decide what's the famous. So since it's sub judice, I don't want to say any more, but things are under control. Thank you.
I would like to get back to you to be motivated. Your story was really motivating, inspiring and touching. Thank you very much. God bless you for what you have been doing. And I have a question and statement that, you said that you had 3-4 areas where you concentrate education first, and then you have, health and some of the other financing activities where you give living to the people. Do you have any are there random reactive actions you make, or you have some sort of annual plan, budgeting, and you
Absolutely on the spur of the moment.
you take the decision when you see there's a need?
The family decides The family gets together, there and then is decided. There's no budget allocated. But now with Ishraka, foundation that we formed, we'll have to put it in a confined manner. We will have to put a structure to it. But what we're planning to do is to actually involve our extended family, our staff, to run this. We don't want to run it as family.
Okay.
We want our staff to conduct it into their villages, into their communities, and take it there and do it over there.
Here, of course, you can find that a lot of business families around here listening to you. You don't mind sharing experience if some of us would like to take some of the areas of interest and ask your experience and your best practice and practice. So you don't mind
in private, no
sharing?
Issues.
Yeah, there's no issue.
No
Okay.
issues.
I have one more statement to make here. So many intellectuals are sitting here. I think now we are living in a very educated and society. As you said, 10 years before were different than today, and our kids are very intelligent, intellectual. Maybe the time has come that we need to have a Ministry of Social Affairs or some guidance and help from the government to do some sort of a research, which are the areas which need help, which need support, where there are gaps in the society, where they can offer to the private sector to come and these are the gaps and take what you want to from there. Thanks.
Thank you very much, Pankaj, for all the presentation. I need not to go what all you said. I am very familiar with the KIMG because I was the first insurer of the KIMG. And I know how the things works at KIMG. My question will be on the Omanization. It's very good model that you mentioned that you start with the secondary graduation students. And from there you train them and then they reach up to certain level, some leave, some continue. And then you suddenly come and saying that you are sponsoring higher education and so on. Now, how this staff turnover, with all this expenditure, with all this sponsorship, and they work outside KR group, this is I want to know. Thank you.
Murtada, this is something that has troubled us all along, is that, are we doing enough for the people who've been with us, trained with us, and then the fruits some other organization goes and captures once we've got the trained people moving on. But, when you have an organization which is 5,000 people strong, it's difficult to break barriers of scales of pay and perks and perquisites. Since 2011, if you look at what has happened in the industry in Oman, and especially in terms of wages, everything's just gone catapulting, in a very spiraling form. And at that point, if you don't hold your business together, if you don't hold your best practices in place, if you don't hold your systems in place, and you start paying your employees exactly what they demand and what is happening in the market to market reaction, your system will collapse. So if you look at the attrition that took place was most between 2011 and now, is because suddenly the demand, the aspirations of the young thing, and what was also being offered in the market was suddenly much higher because people were wanting just to fill those numbers of percentage Omanization. No, I never bind a person. Even if I put him through a 10,000 Riyal education program, he can leave me the next day if he wants to. We have never, whether it's this goes, by the way, across my system, no individual in Khimji Ramdas will not get an NOC to work anywhere he wants, whenever he wants. So we've never, barring one or two cases where it's an issue of crime or something, then we will bar him from coming back. But otherwise, every person is free to go and work and get the best opportunity anywhere else he wants.
I think I just want to add on that إنه شفنا عن نبيلة who was there اللي دربناها and then she went on into becoming, going into public authority for planning. If she stayed with us, she wouldn't have gotten that far. And I think she became a role model to the other employees. So they know in the future, if they do really well, we're happy to let them keep going and secure their potential. We also had another example of someone else who was the same, and he went on to being senior at the shipping public shipping company. We do have a shipping section as well, but I don't think we could have taken him that far. So again, he became a role model for the others. So
what we've learned in us is that beyond 5 to 7 years, if they've been able to manage to stay with Kimji's, they will go on with Kimji's. But the crucial period is between 3 and 7 years. That is the point where they're most liable to move on. So we have to learn and we have to appreciate what is it or not, what is it that we are not doing to retain them between those periods. So this is something that we've got to learn. Chairman wants 2 more questions only.
Thank you, Pankaj, for the presentation. I have 2 points only. The issue with Omanization is always the policy of it. It is more quantity rather than quality. And the nature of your business might not be attractive for Omani. Yet, what is your plan or to Omanize on the higher level administration? Though I am with a multicultural environment, I'm not totally with the 100% Omanis. The other thing is that what do you do with the outstanding performance Omanis who are coming and they're really ambitious? With your program of Ishraqa, if I may suggest that there are very qualified Omanis running the SCR in Oman, so the engagement can only be through and with Omanis and not with non-Omanis, especially when it is come with the communities. That's it. Thank you.
So, and that's a very good point. We have realized that, and we started hiring the management cadre people straight from universities. We started with 75 and we're down to hardly 15 in a year now. So there is a problem within us. So we need to up that level again. So we've started taking on more people, starting off as unit manager level.
Which I forget, is that I always suggest to companies to have cross-posting program. It means that we hardly see, other than the oil industry, sending Omanis outside because we are living in the era of globalization. And if you send some ambitious Omani to have international experience, it is something worth considering, I guess.
It's difficult, but at the same time, this can only be done after they've worked for a couple of years with us, gained that knowledge on technicality, and then worked on. So coming back, we are definitely going to up our hiring of management trainees from universities in order to fast track them into managerial roles at various levels. We tried this on 4 or 5 occasions in the building material and building services group, and it's worked excellently well. So I think we're going to pursue this more. And considering what is being the need of the hour in Oman about hiring educated intelligentsia, we need to do that as well. So we will start attracting that. But we'll need to make ourselves more attractive. I'm not sure whether we are attractive enough for the young graduates to come and work. So we need to work with them.
Hi, Abdul. Thank you very much for your presentation. Actually, we are appreciating your effort in the human resources activity and also in the social activity and your support of social society. But actually, as a big company, we are hoping that to see your industrial activity which support the country economy in the long run. Now we are looking for such project to help the government to diversify their income. And this, the your companies like yours is playing a very big role to help the government and diversify their income. Therefore, I will ask you if you have any plan now, because we are in need this for the whole from such companies to help the government to diversify their income. Do you have any plan to go to the government to tell them that, okay, I have this project, this productive project, I am ready to doing it. If you did this and all the other companies do the same, I think that will create a plan just to put a productive project to help the government to diversify their income. Thank you.
Abu Ahmed, fully concur with your advice, and I think this is something that every top business family needs to do, is to go back to government and say, this is the project I have, let's work towards it. We are focusing on two major fronts. One is in the logistic front, especially promoting Dukum and Sohar in a very active manner, bringing in partners from overseas to try and see whether we can put up industry or some service project within Dukum to employ people. We have started various services where we have replaced foreign investors in Oman by putting in our own services. Tug services in Dukum are conducted by an Omani company, not by a foreign company coming into Oman. So we formed an Omani company here